Tucked away on a quiet patch of Tennessee land, behind wrought iron gates and whispering oak trees, lies a farmhouse where melodies linger long after the music stops. This isn't just a home, it's where Emmylou Harris, the Grammy-winning voice of country soul, writes, remembers, and rescues. Today, we're stepping beyond the stage lights to explore her $8 million Nashville estate, her quiet fortune, and the life she's crafted far from the spotlight. But what makes this farm more than just land and timber? Let's find out. What kind of journey takes a girl from military housing in Alabama to the front lines of country music royalty? For Emmylou Harris, the path began with silence, the kind of silence that only a war hero father could carry. Her dad, a decorated Marine, had once gone missing in action during the Korean War. He returned home alive, but haunted. He never spoke of the war. He didn't have to. That silence shaped her understanding of emotion, of what's left unsaid between the notes. Born in 1947 in Birmingham, Alabama, Emmylou grew up moving from base to base, from Cherry Point to Quantico, until her family finally settled in Woodbridge, Virginia. There, she was more than just a straight-A student. She was a marching band saxophonist, a cheerleader, even a local beauty queen. But inside, her world was changing. The voices of Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, and Buffy Sainte-Marie began to call out to her, and so did the guitar her grandfather gifted her. She taught herself to play, and then, in 1965, she did what bold hearts do. She left a secure path and leapt into the unknown. A drama scholarship at UNC Greensboro was soon abandoned for the coffeehouse stages of Greenwich Village in New York. She sang in corners, waited tables in between, and carried her newborn daughter in her arms after a brief marriage to folk singer Tom Slocum. Most would have given up. But Emmylou didn't. Then came Graham Parsons, the cosmic cowboy of country rock. He heard her once, and he knew. She flew to Los Angeles to record harmonies on his album G.P., and it was magic. In him, she found both a mentor and a mirror. Their voices blended like wild honey and dust, introduced the world to a new sound. But tragedy struck fast. Parsons died of an overdose just weeks after recording Grievous Angel. Emmylou was left holding the music and the pain. She didn't stop. Instead, she carved her own road. Pieces of the Sky in 1975 made critics weep. Elite Hotel cemented her place in country music, and by the time she released Luxury Liner, she wasn't just an artist, she was a movement. Her collaborations bloomed. Bob Dylan, Roy Orbison, Linda Ronstadt, Dolly Parton. But Emmylou never became a commercial puppet. She chose artistry over chart-topping trends. In an era when women in music were boxed in, she broke out, with lace, with twang, with stories sung softly but carrying mountains. And the hits kept coming. Boulder to Birmingham, her tribute to Graham. 2 More Bottles of Wine, her rebel anthem. Mr. Sandman, pure whimsy with Dolly and Linda. She won 14 Grammy Awards, helped revive the Ryman Auditorium, and led a quiet revolution in Americana, long before the term became a genre. But what's remarkable isn't just her discography, it's how she endured. Marriages came and went, fame flirted and faded. Yet Emmylou always returned to what mattered: the song, the story, the soul. And somewhere along the way, she found herself drawn not to red carpets, but to red barns, rescue dogs, and wide-open fields. Because Emmylou wasn't chasing the next big stage. She was building something quieter, and perhaps even more powerful. So where does a country legend go when the applause fades and the cameras turn away? Let's step into the place she now calls home, a Nashville retreat where harmony isn't just heard, it's lived. Farm in Nashville. What kind of house does a woman who has sung with angels build for herself? For Emmylou Harris, home isn't about chandeliers or gold-plated awards on every wall. It's about warmth, stillness, the hum of memory in the walls. And dogs. Lots of dogs. Her $8 million Nashville estate, nestled on 2 private acres, isn't loud or ostentatious. It whispers. It welcomes. It was built not just to impress, but to embrace. The gates open to a curving drive flanked by mature trees, their branches brushing the wind like harp strings. The house rises gently beyond them, a mix of Southern tradition and modern elegance. No pretense, only presence. Step through the double doors, and you're immediately met with a 2-story foyer that feels more cathedral than corridor. The grand staircase, carved with delicate balusters and flooded with natural light, draws your eyes upward like a crescendo in a gospel song. To the left, a private study lined with dark wood and bookshelves, the quiet heart of a storyteller's life. To the right, a formal sitting room where Emmylou has likely shared more songs than secrets. The main suite? It's a sanctuary within a sanctuary. Here, she begins and ends each day wrapped in textures of serenity. A ventless gas fireplace, heated bathroom floors, and a custom dual vanity glowing with embedded LED lighting. Even the double water closets feel poetic. 2 private spaces for reflection and ritual. And then, the closet. No ordinary wardrobe, this space is like a museum of fabric and time, with glass cabinetry, backlit shelving, and a layout worthy of the Grand Ole Opry. It doesn't scream luxury, it sings it gently. Next stop? The kitchen. But this is no ordinary space for cooking. This is where art meets appetite. With Wolf and Sub-Zero appliances, triple ovens, dual islands, and not 1 but 2 pantries, the kitchen feels like a performance stage in itself. It's easy to imagine Emmylou laughing with fellow musicians here, making tea as songs are born at the breakfast table. The adjoining family room is grounded by a bar area, equipped with twin 86-bottle Sub-Zero wine columns, a built-in beverage fridge, and space for slow conversations. 1 step beyond lies the glass-walled 4-season room, offering sweeping views of the estate and its crown jewel, the backyard. Let's go outside. This is where the music slows to a hush. The gunite saltwater pool, heated for year-round use, glistens under Tennessee skies. Nearby, the spa tub bubbles softly, while the covered patio, complete with fireplace, serves as a stage for dusk reflections and laughter among friends. It's not hard to picture her here, barefoot, holding a rescue pup, watching fireflies dance. And then comes the pool house, a masterpiece in its own right. Its 17-foot ceilings and indoor-outdoor Renlita doors blur the boundaries between nature and nurture. Inside, there's a chef's kitchen, a spa bathroom, and a studio space that feels more temple than workplace. Of course, beneath the main house lies an entire world, a home theater, a game room, an art studio, a climate-controlled wine cellar, a full-service gym with sauna, and even a 5-car garage that speaks to both practicality and passion. But none of this is for show. Every square inch of this estate feels lived in, loved. It's a place where dogs nap on sun-warmed tiles, where old guitars lean against well-worn chairs, where family photos sit beside Grammy Awards. No hierarchy between the two. Because this isn't just a mansion. It's the physical manifestation of a woman who turned pain into poetry, who chose rescue over retreat, and who, when the spotlight dimmed, found a deeper kind of light. But this isn't her only refuge. Far from the lights of Nashville, there's another home, one filled with echoes of childhood, memories of Southern charm, and the calm of old roots revisited. Let's head there next. Mansion in Alabama. What if the past had a front porch? Tucked in the storybook charm of Mountain Brook, Alabama, Emmylou Harris owns a second home that feels like a love letter to her beginnings. Priced around $2 million, this residence isn't about scale, it's about soul. While her Nashville farmhouse radiates elegance and legacy, this Alabama retreat hums with simplicity, a reminder of where her melody began. The house stands just a few blocks from schools and village cafes, close enough to hear children laugh, distant enough for peace. The open-concept design immediately wraps you in warmth. Hardwood floors meet high ceilings, and every window invites the sun like an old friend. The kitchen, renovated with hospitality in mind, flows into a living space anchored by a stone fireplace. But it's the screened-in porch, just off the master bedroom, that steals the heart. It's here where Emmylou may sip tea at dawn, wrapped in a shawl, watching the light filter through old oak leaves. The primary suite, located on the main floor, is spacious yet unassuming, filled with natural light, a steam shower, and a jetted tub that promises restoration after long tours or emotional nights of songwriting. Upstairs, 3 cozy bedrooms and 2 full baths offer room for guests, grandchildren, or perhaps a quiet visit from a fellow musician needing escape. But the soul of this home lies outside. Step into the backyard, and you're greeted by a sunken hot tub, a crystal-clear pool, and the soft chirp of Alabama birdsong. It's a place not built for appearances, but for presence. Here, it's not hard to imagine Emmylou walking barefoot through grass, still wet with morning dew, a dog or two trailing behind her, her mind quiet, or perhaps singing a line only the wind will ever hear. And while these homes speak volumes about her taste, comfort, and legacy, it's what Emmylou Harris gives away, not what she keeps, that truly defines her. Because beyond the awards, the albums, and the acres, she's built something more enduring, a heart open to those who need it most. Let's talk about the causes she's devoted her voice to, and the lives changed by her compassion. Philanthropy. What happens when a voice that's healed millions turns its power toward the voiceless? For Emmylou Harris, giving back isn't a chapter in her story, it's the chorus. And it all began with a dog named Bonaparte. He was more than a pet. He was a travel companion, a backstage comforter, a silent co-writer on lonely tours. When Bonaparte passed after a decade by her side, something inside Emmylou shifted. She wanted his legacy to matter. So in 2004, she founded Bonaparte's Retreat, a Nashville-based nonprofit with a mission as clear as her voice. Rescue senior dogs, large breeds, and those with medical conditions most shelters overlook. What started as a small corner of her backyard transformed into a haven, one that has saved hundreds of dogs from euthanasia. These aren't just rescues. They're second chances, hand-picked by Emmylou herself, who's often seen cleaning kennels, feeding pups, or simply sitting cross-legged on the floor whispering comfort. And she didn't stop there. Her commitment to animals expanded to a partnership with Best Friends Animal Society, one of the largest no-kill animal rescue groups in the United States. Through benefit concerts, awareness campaigns, and quiet behind-the-scenes work, she became one of their most passionate voices. But Emmylou's compassion stretches further, into the scars of war. She co-founded the Concerts for a Landmine-Free World series, donating her performances to raise awareness and funds for landmine victims, particularly in post-war countries like Vietnam and Cambodia. These weren't headline-grabbing charity gigs. They were intimate, emotional, purposeful. Each note sung for survivors, each dollar earned helping rebuild shattered lives. She's also lent her voice to PETA, to environmental causes, to human rights campaigns, and quietly stood for those who cannot. Not for praise, not for PR, but because she believes music is meaningless if it doesn't serve something greater. Her farm in Nashville? It's not just a refuge for her. It's also a foster home for rescue animals. Dogs roam freely, loved, healed. Some stay, some leave. All are given dignity. And behind it all, Emmylou, humble, barefoot, and as radiant as the Tennessee sun, proves that legacy isn't built only through fame, but through compassion. So where does such a quiet fire come from? What does it take to build a fortune, not just in dollars, but in trust, time, and truth? Let's follow the money, not just where it goes, but how it was earned. Because Emmylou's wealth has never been loud, but it's always been earned, note by note. Emmylou Harris may not live like a mogul or flaunt her wealth with glitz and gloss, but behind the soft voice and down-to-earth grace lies a $15 million net worth, earned not through scandal or spectacle, but through sheer artistry and endurance. Her first real income came not from instant fame, but from survival. After the commercial failure of Gliding Bird, she waited tables and lived on food stamps, raising her daughter alone. But then came Pieces of the Sky, and everything changed. The album didn't just climb charts, it opened the floodgates. Over 5 decades, Emmylou released more than 25 studio albums, most of which went gold or platinum. Her collaborations with Graham Parsons, Bob Dylan, Linda Ronstadt, Mark Knopfler, and Dolly Parton weren't just legendary, they were lucrative. But her greatest fortune may have come from staying true to her voice. She turned down pop crossovers. She avoided the mainstream machine when it no longer felt aligned. Even when record labels tried steering her toward more commercial formulas, Emmylou doubled down on artistic integrity. And somehow, it worked. Her income has come from a diverse mix. Album sales, especially during the golden era of physical records. Sold-out tours across the US, Canada, Europe, and Australia. Songwriting royalties, particularly for originals like Boulder to Birmingham and Red Dirt Girl. Licensing fees, as her music has appeared in film soundtracks and documentaries. Publishing deals, including an upcoming memoir set to add literary revenue to her legacy. No clothing line, no tequila brand, no reality TV deals, just music, just truth, just enough. Her wealth, like her voice, is calm, commanding, and carved over time. And yet, even with this quiet fortune, Emmylou has never hoarded spotlight or riches. She's shared her blessings in ways that ripple far beyond chart rankings or Forbes lists. Because what truly defines her life isn't money, it's meaning. Let's step into the softer side of that life, into the rituals, rhythms, and relationships that shape her private world. Personal life. What does a country queen do when the curtain falls, when the encore fades, and the audience has all gone home? Emmylou Harris doesn't chase the spotlight anymore. She doesn't need to. These days, her life is quieter, but no less rich. She rises with the Tennessee sun in her Nashville farmhouse, surrounded not by assistants or industry suits, but by rescue dogs. They're her family now, a dozen, sometimes more, most of them old, unwanted, or once broken. She feeds them, walks with them through her 2-acre property, and speaks to them in a soft voice that once filled arenas. Here, she's not Emmylou, the legend. She's simply Emmylou, the caretaker. Her days are not scheduled around studios or interviews. Instead, they revolve around rituals of peace, tending her garden, drinking strong coffee in the sunroom, or reading in the private library that smells faintly of cedar and old paper. Sometimes she plays the guitar, not to write a hit, but just to feel the strings beneath her fingers. And sometimes she sings, only for herself. Family remains a vital thread in her life's fabric. Her 2 daughters, Hallie and Megan, both grown, visit often, bringing with them the joy of the next generation. Emmylou is a proud grandmother now, and her face softens when she speaks of her grandchildren born in 2009 and 2012. Their artwork hangs on the fridge. Their laughter echoes through the halls. She's lived through 3 marriages, each marked by love, heartbreak, and lessons. First with Tom Slocum, then Brian Ahern, and later Paul Kennerly. None lasted, but none were wasted. "I'm a very good ex-wife," she once said with a laugh, the kind that comes only from healing. But perhaps her most enduring companionship came not from a partner, but from her mother. After Emmylou's father passed in 1993, her mother moved in and stayed for 21 years. They shared meals, birthdays, and quiet days in the garden. Her passing in 2014 left a void Emmylou rarely speaks of, except to say, "She was my best friend." Emmylou's home is filled with relics of the past, not trophies or framed platinum records, but simpler mementos, handwritten lyrics, black and white photos, old concert posters, a corner where Bonaparte's leash still hangs. She doesn't go out much. No red carpets, no country music gossip circles. But when she does leave her sanctuary, it's often for a cause, a benefit concert, a shelter visit, or a quiet book signing. She's also a vegetarian, deeply spiritual in her own private way, and a believer in stillness. Not silence. No, silence is what she grew up with. Stillness is different. Stillness is chosen. It's the sound of knowing who you are and being at peace with it. In 2021, she revealed in an interview that she no longer writes songs regularly. "I just don't feel the urgency," she admitted, "but I still feel the gratitude." And that gratitude, that grounded, glowing humility, radiates in every space she inhabits. You feel it in her voice. You see it in her life. You hear it in the way her footsteps echo through that Nashville farmhouse, as if each one carries the weight of 1,000 songs, and the lightness of a woman who's learned to live without needing applause. Maybe that success doesn't have to be loud. That legacy can be gentle. And that in a world constantly shouting, it's the quiet ones, the ones who rescue, who listen, who stay true, who sing the loudest in the end. If Emmylou Harris's story moved you, the songs, the sanctuary, the silent strength, don't forget to subscribe. Because behind every gate, every guitar, and every rescue dog, there's a story waiting to be told. And here we'll keep telling them. One life, one home, one quiet legend at a time. See you in the next chapter.